hello. I've got company. Hey, hey. Where did you come from? Say hello. Say hello. Maisy kitten. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to my go live. I've got a little helper. Don't know when you snuck in. Thought I shut the door. But good evening, everybody. Welcome to my Friday live from my sewing room. Nice to see you all. It's been quite a busy week actually, but today has been quite restful. It's been quite nice because are you licking my elbow? Because I haven't had any shows today, so that was great fun. So hello Hayley and Susan, and quite a lot of people joining me. And hello Maisy. Don't play with the cables. That's not good. You don't touch the cables. Too much electricity. All right, there you go. So we were joined and then we were left. Oh, hi Dawn, and waving back Dawn. Hi Tina, Deborah, Morag, hello, and Hayley. She is gorgeous. She's over there now. I think she's gone camera shy. But as I was starting to talk, I could feel something on my back, and it was Maisy leaping up onto my chair. Are you coming up again? Okay. Oh, there you go. Usually she ignores me. Hello Kim, hello Wendy and Linda, and hello everybody, and welcome to my sewing room on a Friday evening. I hope you are all well and you've had a good week. I have, as I said, I had a few shows during the week, and then yesterday I travelled up to the iHub. Susan says my rabbit is banned from the sewing room as she eats through the cables. Hayley, one of my dogs, usually gets to the middle of the night going the hell out of me. Oh, you're Wendy. So are you off to the wedding then, Wendy? I'm not. My invite must have got lost. But hi Sarah Jane. No, so I went up to the iHub yesterday, which is the home of Screen Sensation, and had a sneaky peek at some of the screens that are coming up. I did actually do a bit of screen printing when I was there, but hang on, let me just reach around the camera. Sorry, Maisy, love. And I screen printed onto fur. Look at that, how awesome was that? How awesome. And you can sort of brush it up, and it kind of disappears, and then smooth it down, and oh, isn't that lovely? Now I'm going to shut the door, which means Maisy will now want to leave and start shouting. So hang on. Good girl. Good girl. She's probably wondering who I'm talking to. But yes, I thought that was really impressive. I didn't know how it was going to look, but it really fits. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? So hi Anne, thank you. Glad you just found me. I'm here every Friday. Well, pretty much. Sometimes. Most Fridays. Occasionally. So yes, it is very impressive, isn't it? Pleased with that. So also, I'm just laughing at Maisy. Actually, can I I don't know if I can rotate, but somebody has just decided. Oh, can you see her? No, there she is. Just decided to make herself comfortable in the midst of all my sewing gorgeousness. She's just going to lie in the middle of it. Why not? Why not? I think, Heather, I'm going to make a cushion with it because it is so soft and tactile. But every time I put it down, one of the cats rolls on it. So it may be, it's just so smooth. Also this week, you might have seen pictures earlier. Good evening, Janet. I made myself a new kimono. Which I made with a crepe fabric. I was using that to practice with my cover stitch and my overlocking machines, so I didn't use the sewing machine at all, and decided I wanted to actually make myself. Hi Teddy, hi Anne, and Trisha. Decided I wanted to make myself an actual kimono, so I got in touch with a lady that I know on the internet. I actually met her at the Sewing Bee Live. Was it last year or the year before? And her name is Jess Well, it's Jasuin, Jasuin, and she deals in vintage kimonos. She makes a lot of things with them, and she sells the fabric. So I bought 4 meters of this. This is vintage kimono fabric. Isn't that gorgeous? See the detail there? So there's 4 meters of this here, but kimono fabric is only 30 centimeters wide. No, it's slightly bigger than that. 15 inches. Yeah, so 30 and a bit. So this is the actual width of the kimono pieces. So I don't quite know what I'm going to do with it. But what she also did, because last time I saw her, I bought quite a bit. You can see in here there's bits of kimono fabric, and I've also got meters. This is a vintage panel that I bought from her. Hang on, let me just look at that. Again, I don't know what I'm going to do with it because they're quite narrow, but I think what I'll do with those is at some point I'll frame them. Yeah, they are gorgeous, aren't they? Yeah, Morag, Noreen, Janet, they are absolutely beautiful. So I've got 2 pieces of that one. That one's slightly smaller. And then I got some, I bought another meter piece. Yeah, this is 1 meter by 36 centimeters, which is the standard width of them. That one. So these are vintage, which means you just can't buy a lot more. Some of them actually come from kimonos, and some of them come from places in Japan that closed down. She goes and buys them. And I also bought from her a set of vintage sort of threads and bits and pieces. Yeah, Sarah, I was thinking, you Sarah Jane, you're ahead of me slightly. But I also bought some vintage threads from her last time that all sort of work with it, and then this time she sent me with those 4 meters because I think they work out, considering they're so narrow, when you think about it as you compare it to the price we pay for a meter of fabric, which is 44 inches wide or just over a meter wide. These are 36 centimetres or 35 centimetre wide. When you think of them like that, it's quite pricey. But actually, for what they are, it's amazing. So she sent me these scraps as well. And what I was thinking, as Sarah Jane just said, was get my old sashiko needles, and somewhere I've got white sashiko thread. Good evening, Viv. Good evening, Therese. I'm never quite sure whether that's Therese or Teresa. Hello, Jane. Hello back to the Netherlands. But yeah, I've got some white sashiko thread, and I've got some coloured, and I may cut some small pieces and hand stitch a quilt with them. But this one I'd like to make a jacket. But there's 4 meters here, but because they are only 36 centimetre wide strips, that means there's not enough to make it a full jacket. I would need to add bits to it, so I need to have a think about how I'm actually going to do that, and I'm sure I will invent some time to be able to get on with that. But it made me dig out all the rest of the bits that I got from Jasuin before. Now that's her professional name. That's how you'll find her on Etsy and things like that. But this is obviously backwards, because this is a front facing camera, but if you can read that backwards, that's Jasuin if you want to find this lady. And she's on Etsy. She's got an Etsy shop, and I think she's on Instagram as well. So yes, Julia, I'll wave back, and if you bring cake, I'll wave even harder. So Deborah, thank you very much. I know you'll help me out with that. Though I think you bought some too, if I recall. So, sorry about the noise. Flipping cat. No, don't get that. Sorry, Lynn. But Viv says, any leftovers, I'll give it a forever home. But I have to finish my Indian quilt before I can start my a Chinese quilt. Somebody just asked what the machines were behind me. So that is my overlocker. That's a brother. And remember that it's front-facing camera, so everything's backwards. Yeah, I know you did, Deborah. I remember everything you buy. So I know there's no sewing shows on today. Sorry about that, Wendy. Yeah, so this is my brother, and this is a 432 stitch overlocking machine. Which means you can run it with 2 stitches. You could two needles. You can run it with 1, and it's the model is 4234D. That's a brother, and then this one next to it is an embroidery machine. Now this is the Innovis M280D, which is the one, you know, you got the 230 and the 240. The 280 is that embroidery machine, but with a sewing machine as well. So that one's on loan for me while I'm doing shows, even though we don't actually do that machine on Create and Craft. But let's have a quick look. I think so. Sarah Jane, I want to live in your sewing room. Oh, you don't at the moment. I tell it, it's chaos in here at the moment. But I'm getting some new storage sorted out by the end of next week. So hopefully I can move some of this stuff, because it just things everywhere, and every day something new comes to demonstrate with, and it's lovely. It's very exciting when I open the box, but then what do I do with all the stuff? Because you can't throw it away, you can't give it away, and you can't I may need to use it again next week. So, but at the moment it's a little bit chaotic in here, but we'll survive. So good morning, Creations by Morma. Viv trying to talk hubby into a V3. Very nice. Hi Lorraine. Sorry, that was Maisy just disappearing. Julia, is it possible to have too many sewing machines? No, and I've actually got one more than I've got in here, because I believe you've got it. So no, the optimal number, Julia, of sewing machines is one more than you've already got. So the little black, Lydia says, the little black fabric next to you, has it got daisies on? Black fabric next to me. Oh, this. Yes. Oh, this is some fabric I bought. I think there's about 5 meters here. I'm thinking trouser suit. Yes, so this has been here for quite a while. It's a sort of stretch polyester. And at some point that will turn into something just like this will as well. This is more of a lightweight crepe with little detail on it. There's about 4 meters of that. This one is digitally printed. I wouldn't be able to watch this on TV because of the stripes. It would send the cameras into meltdown. And this one is a sort of sateen polyester again, because, you know, polyester is just easy to work with. And cheap, but this wasn't cheap because it's digitally printed. You can see the details on it. But yeah, those are there because I believe at some point they will move from there to here, and they will turn into something, but who knows. So yes, Lydia, that did have daisies. What do you think about felting machines? Oh, I have a felting machine. I haven't used it for a while. It's under there somewhere. But yeah, I like felting machines. Good fun. All behind me. Wish you had room like yours, Tracy. I tell you, carpet's a state. I've been ripping out bits from English paper piecing. Don't even want to look down there. When will you have time to put everything away? I have no idea. I'll ask Deborah if she can come round and help me. My side chick. She's always pleased to laugh at me. So right, that's the telephone ringing. That's unusual. Right, so yes, Lydia, dress, that'll be cool. Sorry, I'm just catching up with you. Love the iron cat just to the side of you. So here's Maisy again. Good evening, Sandy. I'm trying to catch up. Viv, a kimono. Right, actually the kimono was really simple. really simple to make. In fact, if I demonstrate with this piece of fabric, the rough method, right? So this is your piece of fabric, and I think I measured across and did some rough measurements. I'm going to tell you, Viv, how to make that kimono. Oh, Creations by Morma. I tend to buy 4 or 5 meters because I never know what I'm going to do with it. But if you've got a pattern, it'll actually say on the pattern. I haven't got a pattern handy. It'll actually say on the pattern how much fabric you need. But I buy the fabric and then decide what I'm going to do with it later. But anyway, here is my kimono fabric. And it is twice as long as I want my kimono to be. All right, and this is very rough. And then about from yay to yay, like that, depending on how long a sleeves. It's better to have it slightly wider and then cut it down if you need to. So you take your fabric and then you fold it in half like that, okay? And then you are going to cut out armholes like this. And again, depending on how baggy you want your sleeves, I wanted them quite baggy, so I think I kept this about 15 inches and had about 15 inches in from the edge. But I also wanted to make sure that I got enough fabric across the back. So then what we do is, if I put that right size together, let me show you with a teeny tiny, I made mine completely with the overlocker. I overlocked these seams. Right, so you can see where I've just stitched here and here. I overlocked those seams, and then I used my cover stitch machine, which is different to an overlocker because it doesn't cut your fabric, but what it does is it turns it over and it stitches parallel lines, if you want parallel lines, or you could have 3 lines of stitches on the front, but it finishes off the seam on the inside at the same time. So then I overlocked around here and here, and then you take your scissors and you cut up the middle of one of the pieces and then hem that. What I actually did as well was I cut out a little bit more around the neck, a bit like this. You see there? So I cut up the middle, cut a little bit out, hemmed all the, well, cover stitch hem all the way around here, turn it through, and we've got a teeny tiny kimono. But that's basically the technique. It took me about, I don't know, 45 minutes to work it out. And there you go, you've got a little tiny kimono. Obviously this is just to demonstrate it, but that's how you do it. And because a kimono is kind of supposed to be quite fluid, what I also did at the front was when I cut up the middle, I curved the front as well so that I didn't have a straight edge. So, and then you could do something like, if you've done, do I have a Barbie doll for that? If you have like a machine that allows you to, like an overlocker, or actually the cover stitch I think does it as well, which is called a lettuce seam, which makes it go like that. Because when you curve it, that goes on the bias. If you, so you can see there I've got a straight edge, but what you could easily do is bring those right sides together and then curve that off like that, and you've got a little curved front. So, and that's basically all I did. I was trying to work out how to do it. It's going to be more complicated when I make my kimono with my vintage silk because that's panels, but you could do this with like scarves and things. So Deborah, I have in mind how much fabric's needed for trousers, etc. So that if I see fabric I like, I roughly know how much I need. Yeah, pretty much what Deborah says there. Yeah, I kind of I'm like, well, it might be trousers. If it's a trouser, I might make a top with it as well. Or if it's a dress, 4 meters, and then just a little bit to get away with, and 5 meters. But it also depends on how much it costs as well. Because if it's quite expensive, I just stick to 2 meters. I think there'll be trousers or a top. But there you go. So that's how I made my kimono. Very, very simple. So when sewing 2 layers or more of material, is it better to do a running stitch by hand first? Jennifer, I never do that. I use my sewing machine. You could make one, you could do it with your a big stitch, so a tacking stitch with your sewing machine. But I don't really worry about stitching by hand. I don't even hand baste in my zips anymore. I use basting glue. But there you go. So that's how I made my how much for a human kimono. Yeah, I did mine. I think the one I made the other day was 2 meters of fabric, because obviously it's folded over that way. So 2 meters, and that was the selvage, and the selvage is at the side. So if you want a longer kimono to go to the floor, you probably need 4 meters. So this, for example, what you do want is something quite light and sort of floaty. It doesn't work so well from like 100% cotton. You want something with a nice bit of drape with it. And then when you're finishing it, the cover stitch was really nice because it only did 1 layer, but you could do a rolled hem on it, because with a kimono it flips back like that. As I said, Noreen, the width is just however long you want it, like that. So if you want it to go all the way down here to here, you have to measure from there to there, and that's how wide you would have it. Obviously, if you have it very wide, you're going to have to start thinking about sewing 2 pieces of fabric together. So I hope that gives you an idea. Anyway, that's a teeny tiny thing. But what I thought I would do, because I haven't got a fabric show on Monday, but I've got fabric shows a week on Monday, and the fabrics arrived, and I've got, oh, hang on, what are you doing, Maisie? Cat gets everywhere. What we've got is a week on Monday. I think it might be Sunday or Monday, bank holiday weekend anyway. So we've got unicorns. Let's look at my lovely unicorn fabric. And then these are the other ones in the bundle, because they always put them in bundles. So we've got little swishy tails. Which way up does that go? So I've got my unicorn on there with their brightly coloured swishy tails. So you probably won't be able to get things until a good 2 weeks. No, I have no idea when the 210 is, but I basically know what's going to be on my show about a week before. That's it. And even then it can change the day before. So keep an eye out on my website, because when I know that I've got a show, I do post it on there. So then we've got stars. There you go. Then I've got little rainbow clouds. And I think there was another one. Yes, the lime green. So what I was going to do, they're good, aren't they? I don't know if the V3 will ever be back, Viv. As I said, they don't ask me, they don't tell me, and I certainly don't know what the offers are. They don't tell us what the offers are until we turn up. But I don't know when they're likely to have what machines back. I don't even know when they discontinue them until they've replaced them with something else, and they go, oh no, that was discontinued. It's like, oh, marvellous. Anyway, so I thought, because I've got to make a sample with this, I thought we would do a mini tutorial here on a flapped cushion. So a cushion with a flap around the outside. And Creations by Morma says, I asked the question because I can't resist buying fabric without a project in mind. I just buy fabric, then decide what to make. Yeah, I know that feeling. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to put a zip in the back of this cushion, and also have a tabbed edge around the outside. And I'm going to do it with this on the front, and then these 2 pieces make, oh, the lime green making up the back, and then I'm going to zip. Now, just looking at this is my bag of zips. I've got all sorts in here. Just looking for something. I need something quite long, but we're going to do a tab on it. These are all quite short actually. That's a bit of a nuisance. That red's a bit red. That pink's a bit short. What have we got here? Oh, that'll do. This is a 10-inch one. So, oh, Teresa, I thought I was going to miss you as we're away in our caravan for a few days. Oh no, looks like you've got online after all. You've gone anywhere nice? At least the weather's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do a zip, and we're going to put some tabs on the edges because this obviously isn't long enough to cover the whole thing. But I thought you might like to sort of watch along, and if you wanted to make one you could later. So we've got Hayley, zips, always do the envelope backs. Well, this is surprisingly easy and very cheaty. So what I've done is I've got a cushion pad that is 12 inches. This is my cushion pad. And I've used the width of the fabric for this, which is 18 inches. So it's going to be far too big, but we're going to do a tab outside. So it's really good fun. So my zip doesn't want to be as big as my cushion, okay, in this particular place, because we're going to stitch around the outside and I'd end up catching the zip. But this will make more sense in a bit. So what I've done is I've taken my backing, and my backing is about, the back of the cushion is half the width of the front plus an inch, okay, just to give me some extra space for my zip. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a tab for my zip because my zip is not long enough and I can't be bothered to do the invisible, you know, the bit where you tack in the zip and things like that. Oh, can't be bothered. So we're going to do this way because, you know me, I like to do things that are quick for TV and that we can do quite hurriedly. So what I've got is I've cut a piece of fabric. This is basically just bigger than, if I just show you, I just fold this over and put my, this is twice and a bit. But what needs to happen, you see, is this will sit in here, and with one on the other end, it'll end up being slightly longer than this. Okay? So in this case, I'm folding in my little edges just slightly. So while I'm doing this, it's a bit tricky to keep up with your conversation. So I hope you'll just watch along and not ask too many complicated questions. Right, so let me just grab my zipper foot, which was here in my little box of zippers. I think you can see what I'm doing. Wendy, what happens to all my samples? Yes, I do keep them. That's why my house is full of boxes, because I might do a show now and then I have to do a show, the same show 2 years later. And if I've got rid of all my samples, it's a nightmare. I have to make them all again, especially with the embroidery machines. Right, so I folded over the raw ends, okay. Well, this will be up on Facebook, Jane, so you'll be able to come back to it. You just have to scroll down, because I probably won't have time to do this on Create and Craft. So, but I folded it over. And I'm just going to stitch along the end. Right, oh, somehow I've got my thread there. Got a bit of a nest on the back. Yes, I have. Right, why have I got a thread nest? I think I just, no, everything appears to be. Right. So what I've done, can you see there, is I've sewn straight and encased it. All right. Yes, Wendy, the ring's back. Had to have a whole new shank put on it because the other one was too fine. But never mind. So then I'm going to open the other end of the zip and do the same thing again. So we fold inwards like this, and I'm finger pressing, and the other end as well. And this is just so that I haven't got any raw ends. Okay, and then we pop the zip inside. Now this end is a little bit trickier just because it's not so open, but I don't want to have my zipper teeth getting in the way. So we tuck them in, make sure everything's lined up, and pop a pin in it. And then stitch again with my zipper foot. Right. Take the pin out. Right. So you see now I've got long tabs on each end. I'm just going to grab my scissors. So hang on, I've got a question. Oh, Karen, I'm thinking of getting a new machine. What do you recommend, please? A budget of £300. My goodness, that's a very big question, Karen. It depends on what you want to do with your machine, because especially if you get it through Create and Craft, the 130, which is the one I'm using here, great machine. Lots of, well, it comes with quilty feet. The 210 is also a great machine, but comes with dressmaking feet. So it really depends on sort of what you want out of the extra feet. Though to be honest, both of those machines, you can use the feet from the other machine anyway, so you can use the same foot. But personally, I love the 130, but that's not just because I've got one. Right, so Jane says use a Pritt stick. Okay. Don't know what the answer to that is, but Viv, yes, I agree with you. The 130 when it's on offer, and I often demonstrate that, so I'll show you. But I've trimmed that now, so you see that my zip with the tabs is now as long as the outside. Okay, so that's what we've done. We've sort of added these inserts. Then I'm going to take my fabric and my zip, and I'm going to pin these just so that I can then show you. You want to make sure, so there you go, we're going to sew along here. You want to make sure that the teeth on your zip are facing your main bit of fabric. Okay, so to hold the zip on the fabric end at the open, yes, that's a good idea. Pritt stick would do. Haven't got any Pritt stick, but I might have thought of that. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch all the way along here, coming as close as I can to the zipper. Okay, but I've got to stop when I get to about here because I've got to move. There you go. So I've got to move it. Sue, I agree. Email them and tell them that. Don't tell them I said so. I did actually end up demonstrating earlier in the week the 700, and I did it with fabric, and that was because Joe wasn't able to get in, so they let me play on the other one, on the 700. It doesn't do the embroidery features, but it still cut fabric. But anyway, we're just moving along, running up against the edge of the zip. I keep seeing Maisy at the corner of my eye. She's showing me her tummy, but if I go and touch it, she won't be happy. Because is that my tummy? Is that my tummy? No, it's not, is it? Not allowed to touch that. Nope. Bless them. So yes, this is the zipper foot. So Hayley, you're just asking about that. If I just turn this slightly and maybe bring you in a little bit. Along the edge of the zipper foot, have I got a spare zipper foot somewhere? I don't know if I have to show you. No, we'll have to wait till we come off the machine. But it has a tongue here, and this tongue pushes in against the zipper, the teeth of the zipper. And then when we come to here, this point, I need to sort of give it a wiggle and get the zip past, there we go, past the foot. Then drop it down and then stitch to the end. Right, so let me just show you that, Hayley. Elaine, I can see your frozen picture. Whatever button I'm supposed to press to live isn't working. Well, when this is over and I click save, it'll just go back up to the top of my feed and you'll be able to watch it from the beginning. So if you ever join halfway through, don't worry. When I click finish, it does get to save. So here we go. So this is the zipper foot. And this part here runs down the edge of the zip. So I've done one side. Now let's grab my other piece and we repeat on the other side. Right, line up, put the foot back on. So I hope that helped, Hayley. But that's what that zipper foot is for. It allows your needle to get really close to the edge of your zip. So, caught underneath there. Caught a bit of loose thread. Again, I'm going to use that little zipper controller here. There's little, I'm never quite sure what you call it. I call it the zipper bit. But Diane, sorry to hear that you've broken your arm. Hope it gets better soon. Perhaps you could take up crocheting and just hold one like that. So I've just seen Viv. Did you say what I thought you said? Says, just remember, people, when she's doing all that, she's not writing her book. Well, I was working on my book this morning. I was working on the introduction this morning. So I am, even though my plan was to have a day off for me doesn't mean the same necessarily as a day off for other people. So I just saw also the thread keeps bunching up underneath when I'm sewing. What could be wrong? Right, Kim, it just happened to me. Okay, now that's a number of things. First of all, you might, if everything's threaded, it might be that you've got these stray bits of thread here that catch up, or even a stray bit of thread like this one. Before you start stitching, pull your thread out of the back like that, and that should help you reduce the amount, hello Maisy, the amount of thread that is available to catch up underneath. So I'm just catching up. So problems with thread underneath is usually top tension. Yeah, also that's a good point there. We've got Susan. When you're diagnosing what the problem is, if you have an issue on the top, it'll be on the bottom. So if stuff's bunching up on top or you're seeing threads on the top, it's a bottom. It's a problem with the bobbin. If you look underneath and your thread is very loose underneath, it'll be a problem with the top. So here we go. This is our zip set in. You can see that's it there. Now what I'm going to do very quickly, I like to neaten it off with a bit of top stitching, and I'm going to top stitch around the zip again with my zipper foot in. Now I did have some new thread. What have I done with my new thread? Bear with, because I've got new thread. Hang on, Maisy. Oh, out the way, love. Do you want me to open the door? There you go. Those lovely people at Gutterman sent me some new thread to play with. Look at these. They're called Neon. Obviously, forward-facing camera means that you see everything backwards, but they've sent me some Neon Gutermann threads. So I think for this one that maybe a bit of lime green top stitching. A little bit of lime green top stitching. Yes, Hayley, zips are actually surprisingly easy. There are complicated ways. You can do ones where you have to sort of baste them in and things like that. And actually this is just a really simple way, because you can see there, you can hardly see that tab that I put in. So let me just going to clean out the top of this thread. Use this new neon. I've not used it at all yet. In fact, I can't see the end of the thread. There we are, it's there. See, that's a good look, isn't it? But here we go. I'm going to thread this up in my machine. So Jane, I want your job. Yeah, the thing is, it's lovely, but you have to have somewhere to put them, and also they expect you to do things with them. You know, they don't just send them to you and you're allowed to just keep them. They want a project done or something like that, and I'm quite busy. but I thought it would be fun to use this one. So what I'm going to do is, if you're having problems again with the bird's nest, what you can do is this. All right, so first of all, I've got my thread in my left hand. All right, let's just tip this down again. Thread in my left hand. Maybe tilt the machine. Can you see in here? Can't get round that bright light, I'm afraid. That does hide a bit. Without that light, my machine's off. So, but anyway, thread in left hand, needle down, needle up, and pull. You see, that's the bobbin thread. That then pulls my bobbin thread onto the top, so it's not underneath now to get bunched up. Then what I'll do when I finished is I'll trim that off, and I could actually stitch them back in down through the bottom. So a little back stitch, and then I'm keeping the zipper foot on here, but because I want to get stitching quite close to my zip to stop when I open up the zip, the end coming up. So while we're on thread, I had a spool and started it wrong. Now it stops every time it goes round. Is it a lost cause? That might be because your thread is tangled in there. And actually, one thing is, it's the thread. If it's catching in the top there, that's because you've got one of those slits. But what you can do is try and unravel it and then re-ravel it. Or you use it for your hand stitching. I never throw thread away. But let's just take this along. Top stitching along here. I'm just being fancy now, you know. I don't need to do this because when you see this bag on TV, you're not going to see the back. But you guys are, and I like to know that it looks pretty. So let's carry on. Down to the bottom. Twist. What this does, we top stitch on a bag as well. Oh, bye-bye, Jane. See you soon. Night-night. Hi, Peggy. Nice for you to join us. Nice to see you. So we're making a cushion here, but when this video is finished and I press finish, it'll go back on my Facebook page, so you'll be able to watch it from the beginning and see what we're doing. So anyway, here, this thread is running beautifully. Flip out of the way. You see, I've got these two threads up here, and what I could do is just tie them off like this and then cut them. Obviously, if this was a competition piece or I was entering the sewing bee, I would stitch them in. But and there's our lovely zip back, where the zip is smaller than the cushion. That is all beautifully finished. Shorten the stitch length, back stitch a little bit, forward stitch a little bit, needle up, and that's it, finished. So this is the back of our cushion done with our lovely zip. So used to be terrified of zips. No longer frightened to life. Oh, thank you, Jackie. Yeah, I used to have a similar thing. Oh, sorry, just moving you back a bit. I had a similar thing with zips. They used to scare me too. But now, we've got our zip in the middle. Hello. And we're ready to match it up to the front of our cushion. So, let me just turn you this way this time, so you can see. So what we do for this is you want to make sure that your cushion zip is left open, all right, because you need to turn it through there. And here's my cushion front. Now the back will be slightly wider this way than the front, because I gave myself acres of room just to be sure that I would be okay with that zip. So I'm just positioning it, and then what we're going to do is pin all the way around. Okay. What this also means, this method means that you haven't got a zip going right up to the edge and then sort of adding extra nasty bulk. So, right, let's just smooth this out and stick a few pins in it. I'm not advocating pins in the mouth, obviously. I wouldn't do that before anybody tells me off. So, smooth it all out. And obviously I'm checking, my backing has no obvious direction, so I don't need to worry about it. But if I was using another background or a cushion back that had unicorns on it, then I'd make sure they're all facing the right way up. What would be really cool is if I get the show when I launch this fabric, if we have Jenny, because Jenny loves unicorns. So now I'm going to change back to my standard foot, press the ankle on the back, take my zipper foot away, add my J foot on. Right, now I'm going to start stitching all the way around, but I don't start right on the corner. I start about 2 inches in, and that's because sometimes, especially with these big pieces, it can move, and if I go right to the edge I end up with a pucker, and I don't want that. So what we're going to do is stitch from about 2 inches and then stitch with a 1/4 inch. I'm being a bit generous here. Take the pins out as I go. And if you've got a sewing machine with a needle down function, that really helps when you get to the corners, so you can pivot. Right. And having an extension table is really useful as well. Hang on. So Sarah Louise is loving her M230E. Good, good, good. Yes, Sarah Jane, everybody needs a Jenny Cleary. She cheers you up on the darkest day. So let's... take my pins out. I've been wondering actually about putting some of these Facebooks onto YouTube, my Facebook lives. Paul says I should, but I think that oh Hayley, you've got the 230 running now. I tend to think that maybe I don't do enough during these sessions. They're perhaps too chatty to make sense later. I don't know. I'd be interested to know what you think. I will probably pop this one up. Oh, the camera's juddering when I do that because my table's not great. All right, coming up down the last side. But I'd be interested to know if you would, you know, want to go back and view these videos on YouTube afterwards. Because obviously anybody who's watching these later won't see the comments, I don't think. So the conversations I'm having with you lot will make no sense whatsoever to anybody who just tunes in at a later date. But anyway, I'm coming down to this final side now. And because I started a bit in, oh, actually Wendy says, yes please, I had to look up your apron demo the other day. Oh good. Right, I hope you found it. So what I'm going to do now is just trim off the waist from here. Right, so that's side trimmed and this side trimmed. Obviously, if you're not au fait with a rotary cutter or particularly accurate, then use your ruler. Viv says I could put them all in my book. So now what I'm going to do now is turn these the right side out. So rather than trimming these, I was shown this at the Festival of Quilts a couple of years ago, rather than trim across here and weaken the seam, a lady came and showed me this because she used to be a couturier, I think that's the word. So she used to make fancy clothes and she showed me this method because it doesn't weaken the corner. So what you do is put your thumb inside the corner, you fold the extra into a point over itself like that to make a square that's at a right angle, hold it and turn it through, and you see there you are. You've got your, got a bit loose thread there. You've got a really nice corner there without poking it through and without cutting through your threads. Crafty Sue, what plans do I have for the Festival of Quilts? Well, at the moment, I have my stand at the Festival of Quilts, so I'm going to carry on doing the other corners. I've lost where I was. I'm going to do the Festival of Quilts. I have English paper piecing stuff on my stand, and I will have my USBs, the English paper piecing one and the quilting one, but I don't know. I don't know what else I'm going to have there yet because I haven't really had a look at what stock I want to buy. But we shall see. I think I'm on QIA 30. So I'll be in that little corridor between the two sections. Now I've got a big question here. Hang on. Hi Sarah, bought the embroidery machine with scan and cut recently and have finished my first project. Really happy with the final item. Just hope they like it when it arrives in Paris. Ooh! Fancy schmancy, Christine. And if they don't, they jolly well should. So, Teresa, is it hard to paper piece? No, it's not. It's really easy. And actually, I'll be doing it for 4 days when I sit there. It's lovely. So let me just, it's a small portable thing and it doesn't have to be hexagons. It can be all sorts of shapes. And in fact, there's going to be at the Festival of Quilts, there's going to be Britain's oldest dated quilt, which is the 1718 coverlet. Oh, Hayley, thank you. She says, everyone needs the 2 USBs. I'm not on commission, but my God, they're good. Oh, thank you. You get brownie points anyway. Maybe not commission, but brownie points. Yeah, so the oldest quilt in existence is called the 1718 coverlet, and it was made using that technique, and it's going to be on display for all of us to see. So I'm really excited about that. So it should be at the festival. Right, so here we go. This is my cushion pad, nearly finished, and I say nearly because it's too big. All right, Hayley says she'll take the brownie points. So let's just, you see, again, I work very much by yay big. So Lynn says it's not hard, I can do it still now, and she's legally blind. Well done, Lynn. I assume that that's Lynn because you can feel the edge of the papers. So Teresa, how do you paper piece? Now that's a good question, and I suggest, because I can't show you here, that you try googling it. But basically what you have is a fabric shape. Oh, you have a paper shape like a hexagon, and then you wrap fabric around it. I've used a fabric glue pen to hold it. You create 2 hexagons right sides together like that and sew them. So that's really it. So, and then when you finish sewing them all together, so you would sew along here, and Lynn, she feels the edge because she's using card, so that's how she knows where to sew. That's a really good point, Lynn. Well done. I'd love to see what you make. But once you've stitched that together and you've stitched all the way around your hexagon like that, you take the papers out and you can reuse them. So anyway, I need to finish this cushion. So I would, Teresa, I would Google it, have a look on YouTube, and then also, I can't help self-plug a little bit, but I have done a USB called Introduction to English Paper Piecing, which is all hexagons and diamonds if you want to have a go. But, right, so what I need to do is I'm just going to measure my, I know this is 13 inches. And this now finished is 17 inches, so that's 4. So I need to come in 2 inches all the way round to make my flap. All right, so to do that, I have got somewhere, where did I put it? Probably under here somewhere. Here we go. I've got an erasable pen, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my little ruler, and I'm going to mark 2 inches from the top and 2 inches in. So let's do 2 inches from the top and 2 inches in. There. And I put a little mark. See, I need to do it on the other side because I want the lime green to be on the front. So that would help, wouldn't it? See, it's late. So, my pleasure, Teresa. I'm always happy to help. It's just sometimes people ask me questions that are so broad. They'll say, I want to learn to quilt, where do I start? And you just go, oh goodness me. Yeah, Lynn is perfectly right, Teresa. Paper piecing helps keep the shapes accurate, and it's done by hand. So I've marked my dot here, which is, oh, my foot's dropped off. And obviously when this machine was jiggling about, it's unjiggled and my screws come loose. Who would ever say that I had a screw loose? Right. Okay, so. Hi, Alan. Teresa, the scan and cut will definitely help. I did a demo with it this week. I think it was Tuesday, and we cut 31-inch hexagons from the card in one pass, which is probably what I'm going to do with my kits when I come to do Festival of Quilts, because I kit up, you see. So what I'm doing now is I've got a mark here on the edge of my machine. You can't see it here, which is the 2-inch mark. So that means I don't have to mark everything. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go forward with a little tiny stitch and then backwards, and I'm still using this lovely lime green. Right, and now I'm going to use the 2-inch line on my machine, which is basically the edge of my base plate. And I'm top stitching. What I do need to do is eyeball, actually, which is just above his eye, to be fair. 1, 2. Just here is going to be the 2-inch point where I want to stop. Because you don't have to measure everything. Right, and here we go, a bit more. Now, under here is where my zip is, but I'm not going to be stitching through the zip because this... Michael, yes, that is the edge of my base plate here. You just can't see it. Hold on, if I just tip you forwards. I know that just went sideways, but that was the only way I could show you. And now my phone is complaining. But yeah, the edge of the base plate is just here. Yeah, Facebook has just told me off for doing that. So, right. Now, as I said, I'm not going to be stitching through the zip because my zip doesn't go all the way to the very edge. So, 2 inches from the end is on the unicorn's nose. Rotate. Just pull these bits out. So when you see this on air, you'll be able to say, saw Sarah doing that. And this is why I can't demonstrate it, because it's probably taken me about 20 minutes and there's not time to do this really. depends on what's on the show as well. 2 inches from here is just at the top of that leg. Actually, always at the bottom of the leg. Hang on. Top of the leg. Rotate. And then the final side. I'll have to go back because somebody says no need to use scan and cut for material in paper piecing as it doesn't have to be accurate. Yes, yes, Sue, that's fine. I didn't see if there was a question there. I didn't see whether that was Dawn, I can't help you with YouTube for the V7 because I don't have one. So I can't do any videos for that, unfortunately. So, hi Margaret, nice to see you. I'm making a cushion sample. When this is finished, you will be able to go back and watch it from the beginning. So we're making a cushion, a tabbed cushion with a zip in the back. So Susan, yes, fabrics don't have to be completely accurate. I don't cut my fabrics as a rule on the scan and cut, but I do cut the papers because that's the important bit. So what I'm doing now is just cutting my threads. And because I don't want those to come undone, oh, I was trying to pick that off. That was actually a bit of the butterfly. I thought it was a bit of dust. What I'm doing now is just gently pulling my bobbin thread, because what that will do is pull the top thread through onto the back, like that, and do the other one, because obviously I've got the beginning and the end one. And this allows you to pull the top thread through onto the back. Right, try that again. There's that one. It doesn't help that there's lime green on a lime green back and I can't quite see it, but there we go, I've got it, I think. Right, and this is how you can pull your threads both on. You can pull your threads onto the back and then sew them into a quilt. But what we're going to do now is just tie them all in a knot, because nobody's going to see the back of this. I just want it to be, or people might see it, but they're not going to really look in the corners and go, "Oh, you didn't stitch your ends in." There's no quilt police in this house. So, Margaret, not sure what a tabbed cushion is, or basically it's a cushion with a flap around the outside, but I'll show you. So there we go, and you can see that the stitching around the outside just here doesn't go through the zip because our zip is inset. And now we start the little bit of the fight that we have to get my cushion in. And Margaret, this has actually got a 2-inch tab all the way around the outside of the cushion. So let's stuff this in here. I just think having a cushion with the tab of fabric around the outside just looks fancy. Just makes it look a little bit posher. Right, push my cushion into the corners. Right, push it into the corners. Needs sitting on, but this has got the tab around the outside. So that is a cushion with a 2-inch tab. Actually, they're upside down. So those are my, let's move you back a little bit now. Perhaps you can see it better. So you see, I think it looks a little bit fancier than a normal one. And I've got, so this is with a 2-inch tab. I did one over here. Hang on, let me grab it. This is from producer Andrew at Create and Craft. He's been nagging me. And when he stops annoying me, I might actually let him have it until then. If he keeps nagging me, he won't get it. But this one is Spider-Man, and it's got a 3/4 inch tab. So I think it just makes it look a little bit fancy. So that's his Spider-Man one. I keep telling him I haven't done it yet. I'm just mean like that. I have now. I hadn't probably the last time he mentioned it, honest. And then we've got this one now for a lovely unicorn fabric. The cushion needs sitting on a bit, so I think I'll put it on the ironing board, and before long there'll be a cat sitting on it, and she will have squished it well enough into the corners. So if you've got all the way through to the end, congratulations. If not, if you've got to the end and you think, what on earth has that all been about, because I missed the beginning, once I press stop, this actually goes back to Facebook, and you can watch it again later. And I think I will start putting them onto YouTube, so at least you can catch up, though I don't know how much sense it's going to make to other people who aren't actually reading the comments. I don't think it copies the comments, but we'll soon find out, won't we? So anyway, here's my unicorn cushion. The unicorn, this is going to be over the bank holiday weekend. The show is going to be on. There is unicorn, and there is metallic fabrics. Hold on. Ooh. And this is one of the packs of metallics. Now we've got fat quarters coming. There you go, Hayley. You no longer fear the zip. Woohoo! So, all play, have fun with zips. So yeah, we've got metallics coming, and this is 4 from one of the packs. So I've used the other one. So these have all got metallics in them, and these are 1 meter pieces. So we are going to have these as fat quarters, and we're going to have them as 1 meter pieces. So they're in blue, this turquoise, grey. Hang on, let me just have a look at my bag of tricks. Good old Craft Cotton Company. So let's have a look. We've got them in blue. We've got them in grey. So these are the blue fat quarters. There's 5 fat quarters in that bundle with the metallics. Yeah, shiny. And then what else have I got in here? Yeah, so that's the meter ones, but I've already used a piece of that. Then we've got purple. I love these. Look at that. We've got purple with gold metallics on. So I've got a week and a bit to do something with them, because they'll be out bank holiday weekend. And then we've got meter pieces of that as well to go with it. So 5 meter and fat quarters, because we have been asked a few times from people saying we really want bigger pieces, and they've been listening. So then we've got silver. So, and that's also available in fat quarters and 1 meter pieces. So I hope they go well. Oh, here you go. Here's the grey. Well, some of them. This is how my sewing room is. I've just got bits everywhere. My goodness me. So there is different metallics. So the grey's got a metallic silver. The purple and turquoise have metallic gold on them. So, but this will be next Sunday or Monday. I think there's supposed to be 2 shows, but they haven't confirmed yet which days they're on or what times they're on. And I'm going to try this week to work my way through them and do something. I need to do a few more things with I can't just go in and say, I've made a cushion. I don't think they'd be so impressed with my prep as I've had over a week. But I'm thinking that Morag, yeah, the purple and the silver go really well together. So I'm thinking actually I might make something with the fat quarters of all 3 together. Maybe a quilt top with those 3. Alan, yes, a bow tie, man's tie, yeah, definitely would. I've made a little jacket, but it's not finished yet and it's downstairs. So I've had a play with a little jacket, but with them being metallic, having metallic on them, they are quite stiff. So that will have an effect on what you do with them, because they're not as soft draped. So a kimono, for example, as I said, you can't really do that in cotton. That needs to be really, really soft. So I'm having a little play with these, with the larger pieces. But for now, I hope you enjoyed learning how to do the tabbed cushion. As I said, if you miss the beginning, once I press finish on this, it should publish back at the top so you can watch it again. And I'm going to try and work out how to put some of these onto YouTube so that you can catch up with them. I don't know how well that's going to go because I spend an awful lot of time waffling. And so Lynn says the silver would be ideal as the slime on my snail trail quilt. Actually, I do like the snail trail block, but that does sound really grim. But yeah, it would look fantastic. No, I've had comments on my YouTube channel that I talk too much. So I think I replied, if you think this is too much, don't watch the rest of my films because I'm even worse. But anyway, it's lovely to have a chat with you all on Friday, and thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm going to go and have a little bit of a tidy up. Yeah, I really should have a tidy up in here. And I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the royal wedding. I've not got any shows this weekend. I've got shows on Tuesday and Wednesday, which are for Screen Sensation. So if you like your Screen Sensation, tune in. There are a load of I do love talking to you all. I do love talking to you all. Thank you, Teresa. Because you talk back slightly different on YouTube. But yeah, they thought I waffled on too much. They said too much talking, not enough sewing. But anyway, yeah, Tuesday and Wednesday we've got some more screens back in stock. So tune in if you fancy a Screen Sensation, and I will be back on your screens probably next weekend because I'm trying to get on with the book a little bit. So yeah, unless they really call they really call me in, I'm going to be trying to just get on with the book. Because I do need to. All of it's all been sent off now. The contracts have been exchanged and the book is happening. So I need to get on with some work. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me again. And I will see you next Friday. I'm going to try and get to Malvern on Sunday. But I don't know yet because it's quite a trek from Peterborough. And enjoy the royal wedding. I'm planning to go and see it at my dad's. So I hope you all watch it if you want to, and don't if you don't. And I will catch up with you all next Friday, and we can have a look and see what I've managed to make out of the unicorns. Have a good week, everybody. Bye bye.